And next up, we have an amazing impact leader who has nearly 15 years of combined experience in business development and entrepreneurship, water resource management, and water supply and sanitation. He previously worked at the World Bank Group on water sector projects in Cambodia, India, and in sub-Saharan Africa. Prior to that, he spent 4 years on the startup team at a software firm based in Canada, now a unit of CA Inc. He has consulted for various international organizations, including the International Finance Corporation and the Organization for American States, and recently sits on the board of 2 international development NGOs based in the US and Canada. So bring your hands together for a warm welcome to Mr. Chap Rivo.
Thank you. I didn't run out quite with the same vigor as Savi did, but you set a high bar. Thanks. No? Yes. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Hatch. Thanks, everybody. I think this is good. Thank you. I won't reintroduce myself since I got a really nice welcome introduction, and I also have to cut down my presentation time a little bit. I realize everybody here, you're probably hungry, and so I really respect your commitment to stay and listen. I hope to share with you some exciting ideas, almost as exciting as the music welcoming us up on stage, which I really appreciate. The business of social good. So I won't introduce myself again, but the Hatch people asked me to talk for a second about impact versus profit. Don't ask me why this picture actually means that, but this is actually our team doing a business sort of team building event, and we were trying to explore that question at that time, so it came to mind. But we often hear about the trade-off between, having profit and having social impact or environmental sustainability. You might have heard investors say, like, we can't expect to get competitive returns with a social business. Or you might have heard people say, like, social businesses can't expect to recruit top talent, or that kind of thing. And maybe some of those are true in some cases, but essentially the underlying assumption is that social businesses, if you want to have a social objective or an sort of environmental objective, you have to sacrifice profit. And by the same rationale, the idea is if you just ignore all the social concerns and ignore environmental concerns, then profits will be easy. Investors will come to you. Top staff, top talent will want to work for you. Now, okay, I'm not saying, so that obviously that's not true. I'm not saying there are no trade-offs, because I'm sure you can find some examples of where there are trade-offs between profit and sustainability or social objectives, yeah? But I want to say a couple things. Like, number one, I don't think the trade-offs are that stark. I don't think they're black and white. Number two, sometimes there's no choice at all. Sometimes it's kind of like a false choice, and we're worried about kind of nothing, especially if you're creative. And number three, environmental sustainability, social impact can actually, in many cases, make your firm more competitive, make you more attractive to consumers, more attractive to potential employees, which is really important actually at that point, and may drive down your costs, make your margin, business have better margins. I think some of this kind of was discussed about already in the panel, and I really enjoyed that discussion. But I just wanted to emphasize that perspective that I think this kind of gets blown out of proportion, the balance of these two things. And I want to share with you a little bit about the company, one company that my organization has invested in and incubated. It's called Happy Tap. Yeah. Hopefully you can see this. This WaterSHED that I work for is an NGO. based in Cambodia. We work to generally build the market in water and sanitation and hygiene. That means clean drinking water, toilets typically, and hygiene usually refers to hand washing, okay? We're supporting the ecosystem, trying to build the market because we think that market-based solutions, as many of the other speakers here have already said, are really important for tackling these challenges. But we also incubate and start up some enterprises. And I have some experience stepping into those businesses and working a little bit to help manage and guide them. The company that I'm going to share with you today is called Happytap, actually based here in Ho Chi Minh City. And I won't say too much about it because there's a little video. Here you go. This is a very brief video, but there's supposed to be really funky music playing right now too, that you can. Anyway, why don't I talk in the interest of. Oh, there you go. Hopefully you got the idea here. I won't go into too much detail, but this company that we've invested in produces a simple hand washing device. It's a portable sink, yeah? Now, let me go to the next slide. One of the ideas I wanted to share with you is that innovation doesn't always have to be high tech. You know, obviously this is a simple sink, and it tackles an important challenge, but it doesn't have, like, it's not solar powered, it's not a mobile app or anything like that. It's actually pretty basic. But the innovation of this product lies in the fact that the Happytap team here in Vietnam saw an opportunity, huge challenge of lack of hygiene. Everyone in Vietnam, it seems like, everyone in Vietnam knows all about hand washing. They know the importance of it, like why to do it, when to do it, and that's a result of a lot of great campaigning by governments and NGOs and so forth to tell people about it. But we theorized, because no one's actually doing it, or very few, I shouldn't say no one, I'm sure everyone here is perfect, but most people know. And we theorized that one of the big problems was a lack of a dedicated place for hand washing. And I won't go, no time is constrained, so I won't go into too much detail about that, but ultimately, the innovation here lies in taking behavior change theory, behavior change concepts like nudges and visual cues, modeling, and trying to embed that in the design of a product. But even more innovative is how the team here has tried to work to understand consumers. And by that I mean to find ways to market to rural, lower income consumers who, you know, have probably spent, there have been too much effort trying to approach lower income people who maybe don't have facilities for hand washing as beneficiaries of sort of conventional aid programs, whereas we see a huge opportunity in treating them like customers who actually have aspirations, who have wants, and actually have cash to spend as well. Okay, so moving along. Tackling the world's biggest challenges. Unfortunately, the scale of many of the world's like social, environmental challenges is huge, and that's too bad. But social entrepreneurs who, according to Savvy, everyone here is kind of an impact entrepreneur, we have an advantage then, because we see all these problems as business opportunities, right? In my work, 2.6 billion people in the world don't have a toilet. That's a huge market opportunity. Huge. 1 billion people don't have access to clean drinking water. Another immense business opportunity. And even more than both of those combined, don't wash their hands consistently. If you guys, in Vietnam, this is actually one of the top countries in the world, I think, for hygiene education, in part because here there has been SARS and avian flu and H1N1, EV71. You've probably heard about a lot of these diseases, and hand washing can do so much more in terms of preventing disease and enabling human development. So anyway, the idea that social businesses have a smaller opportunity, are handicapped in some way, and can't attract investment doesn't really match with this story of this huge potential. And don't take it the wrong way here. I'm not trying to tell you that starting a social business is easy and you just run out and solve these problems either, right? Of course. But it's not what makes them social that makes them tough. Another slide, hopefully you can understand the meaning of this picture. Ecosystem challenges. It's not what makes them social that makes them tough. I think what makes them tough is what makes them startups. Startups share a lot of challenges. Think about people who start normal commercial businesses, right? They don't all just run out and collect a whole bunch of investment right out of the gate. They don't all start making 30% IRR, throwing off cash and becoming like entrepreneur millionaires overnight. Of course not. The challenges that have faced the companies we invest in the most, the social businesses, are things like regulatory environmental challenges, country risks, limited talent pool, like finding the right people, probably the most important one, limited capital, political interference in some countries and emerging markets. Corruption is a big issue that we face on a day-to-day basis in many of the markets that we work in. And these are challenges that all small companies face. So I don't want anyone to sort of get thinking that these are intrinsically linked with social startups. When Happy Tap Company first came to Vietnam, there was a group who works on ecosystem development who came here, and actually this was a long time ago, and asked our managing director, like, what do you think of the ecosystem for social startups in Vietnam? And she honestly just said, what are you talking about? What do you mean? She was unaware of any kind of support. And this is something I think is really exciting. I mean, this group brought together here today, and Hatch, in its 5th year, tackling the ecosystems challenges, I think, is one of the most important things that can be done. In the last panel, the moderator asked, what's the most important thing that can be done? Tackling some of the ecosystem challenges, helping get more young people excited about working in these type of firms is going to be the most exciting thing for me if we can recruit more and more of these people. And that's why I kind of want to encourage you today, tell your friends, get everyone engaged in trying to pursue these opportunities. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. One of the things, advice that we have, you can read flexible and opportunistic. Conventional aid is meant to tackle a lot of the challenges that I work in, like in toilets or sanitation or in hand washing. Giving people toilets all around the world has been one of the biggest things governments and NGOs have done. But Margaret Mead, I'll make a little quote here, was one of the famous anthropologists, once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. And indeed, that's the only thing that ever has done." That's really powerful, and I think that the people who are going to make changes to these big problems are the resourceful, scrappy, kind of hardworking, ambitious people using guerrilla marketing and all kinds of new tactics to achieve their goals. I had intended to tell you a little bit about the story of Happy Tap, but I'm going to cut that short a little bit, and I encourage you, maybe on our website you can see some more about this. But we've learned, the Happy Tap team in Vietnam has learned a lot about marketing. And what's interesting is over a few years of tackling challenges in rural sales and distribution, manufacturing and everything, we've seen kind of, again, another merging point of social and profit goals was that in rural areas there's the greatest need. But we also saw a lot of interest and demand for this product from urban moms. You can kind of see in the last picture like this urban family. I think I jumped ahead, but I'll skip the video. Yeah, I think these slides are going to be available again. You can see this is a little bit of a different marketing angle, not really targeting urban sort of setting. But we learned that in addition to making the company viable by selling in an environment where the disposable incomes are higher, where people still want to teach their children about hand washing, and where the need for hand washing, frankly, is still great, we can market in urban places And interestingly, that helps adoption and purchase decisions in rural areas. You probably all kind of know what I'm talking about, that people in rural places look a little bit to the city, that trends sometimes come from more urban settings. So we see a little bit of a merger or a coming together of social and profit objectives here, where we didn't have to make a choice, where it was kind of a win-win. And Ms. Caitlin from UNDP first started out by talking about a triple bottom line. I think sometimes win-wins like that are really the sweet spot where companies can excel in tackling these challenges. So I'll skip that video. The last slide that I think is sort of my takeaway message is that finding the right partners in your team and as investors and as your suppliers, in everything that you do when you start your social enterprise, I think that's so critical. If it comes, your motivation has to be really strong, right? And either it's something, mix of profit or social objective, whatever it is, look to the intrinsic motivation that really guides you to a mission. It's easy to get lost in day-to-day things, yeah? But if you have a strong vision, and if that vision is shared with your partners, then all the challenges, the headaches, of which there are many in running a small business, you can stomach it, you can manage it, and you can push through. And the people with you, kind of like Dad said when introducing you, the people that stand with you at the end of the day, I second that point. Because that's what's really making the businesses that we invest in successful and growing, is by having that kind of alignment. If you're looking for investors, make sure you find investors that don't ask you to break even in the first year, you know? Look for investors, I think, who will join you in the trenches. That means like fighting alongside you, joining you in your struggle, and help you understand and tackle all those challenges to achieve your mission. I'll stop there, but look forward to talking to you over lunch. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And if I could give all the speaker hours to speak, because I know you guys have all the years of experience and know-how. So thank you.